I want to ask you the one question that we ask all of our guests that come on here. And I want to take maybe a little bit different spin on this because typically we ask our guests, if you were to give a piece of advice for people that are looking to break into sports, what would that advice be? What would you tell them? But maybe you can speak from your experience too, where you actually analyzed the opportunity to work in sports and then actually chose the avenue to be creative and use your entrepreneurial mindset to actually start something that could potentially innovate in the industry. So is there any one particular thing that you would give for a piece of advice, whether it be networking or education or real world job experience, or what's your take on that? What would be the one piece of advice that you would give?
Well, a lot of things you said are important. I mean, networking is obviously important in the sports industry uh, to get your foot in the door. I don't think I don't know that any of the jobs I held in sports I didn't get with the help of knowing someone, which I mean, obviously I'd taken the time to go out and make sure that I knew someone to be able to get in there. But, right, one of the things in sports is that there's so many people who want to work in sports that they need to have a way to filter through that. So knowing someone's pretty important. But to be different, I think that the one piece of advice that I would give is to learn how to code.
Mm,
Um, there's a guy named Mark Andreessen. You probably best know him as the guy who created Netscape. He's also founded a bunch of other companies and he's a huge luminary in the tech community. And he has this hypothesis, this theory called software eating the world, and it's true. And what he's saying is that every single industry, even industries that aren't tech industries, are getting taken over by software. They're finding a way to build software that's solving every single industry's problem. And it's infiltrating its way into sports right now. But the thing is with sports is that often the people who want to work in sports, are big sports fans, aren't overlapping with those people who are really into, software development and programming. Um, Developers, for the most part, this is a stereotype, but most of them, it's true, tend to not be big sports fans. Big sports fans, for the most part, tend to not be programmers. And so, what I found in the sports industry is that they need people to fill these roles right now, but there aren't a lot of qualified people who want to fill the roles. And so, I actually think that the best thing that anyone who can do that wants to work in sports is to get that skill set, develop that skill set that's going to qualify you to fill those roles and play a really big role for these sports companies as software eats the
mm,
sports industry. They're going to need people who can code, they're going to need people who can build software. And if you're one of those people, I guarantee that you will have sports properties and other companies in the industry fighting over you, and you will have no problem whatsoever getting a job in sports because they need them really, really badly. I remember when I worked at MLB Advanced Media, which is regarded as, the in terms of the overlap between tech and sports, MLB Advanced
yeah,
Media is the top,
yep.
far and away. And they have a lot of roles there that are reserved for people who are technical, but they just can't fill. It's so
Hmm.
hard to find people who are qualified and want to work for Major League Baseball. If you make yourself one of those people, you'll get yourself a job. And if you're looking for a place to start, there's a site called Code Academy um, that offers free online lessons in programming. There's another site called Treehouse, which is I think the website is teamtreehouse.com, which offers free lessons for people who want to learn how to code. And there's a third one called Lynda, spelled Lynda, and I've never used Lynda, but I believe that Lynda also gives free programming lessons for people who want to learn. I would spend a lot of time on those sites, and I would learn. There's the front end of building software, which is the HTML and CSS. That's valuable, and then there's also a back end, which are more complex languages, but that's how everything is working behind the scenes. And if you can, either teach yourself how to do front end development or back end development, you'll be hired in no time. I promise.
Max, that is
I'm quoting
some
on
of
that.
the most insightful stuff that we've had on one of these interviews. I honestly and truly mean that when I say that because nobody has ever said that you should learn that unique skill of coding, but we hear a lot of times that people should try and find something that will differentiate themselves, right? And it's really difficult a lot of times to think what that might be because it is so ultra competitive in the sports industry. To get your foot in the door, a lot of times you need experience, right? And a lot of times that experience, though, is the same stuff as everybody else. So you might have, experience doing event promotions or whatever it might be, but there's also 1,000 people behind you with the exact same type of experience. Something like coding is just hard enough that not everybody's going to do it, but it will actually separate you from the crowd. And as everybody that's watching here heard, Major League Baseball, advanced media can't even fill the positions that they have because they can't find enough great coders.